My name's Rob Ryder. This video is going to be again another little rant. I don't normally do social commentaries. The only reason I set up this YouTube channel, which I don't promote, I don't like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff, was so I could break down into little pieces the information I've gained over the years that I've put into my books. Then no one can accuse me of trying to write books for money. I mean, anyway, I'm not a known person. I don't promote myself. I haven't made a penny on any of the books I've wrote. In fact, it's cost me my own money that I haven't got to publish these books. And still, I've broken down the main chapters and information in all the books that I've done either myself or with Patrick for free on this channel. That was the whole point of creating this channel. I'm not trying to create a channel and pursue channels. When I've got nothing to say, I won't say anything. And I don't normally do social commentary, but I think sometimes things just have to be said how it is. And there's so many, you'd have to go back to all my other videos to put the pieces together. But say if you go back to the Matrix video, now, I don't know anyone who, I don't agree with David Icke on the Matrix, what he calls the Matrix. We're trapped into this artificial construct. I don't believe that. So as much as I've followed a lot of David Icke, I bought a couple of his books, I like what he's doing. I don't agree that reality is a fake construct and a matrix. My opinion, this is my opinion, based on what I know, which might be wrong, is the matrix, as I've stated in my other videos. If you have the geographical map of the world there and the political map, the matrix is the political map. Yeah, nature is real, creation. We're born out of it, we're made out of it, and that's where we live. And that exists in the geographical map in the world, objective reality. The political map is a man-made construct. Most people believe that we live in the political map. We don't. In the natural geographical map, as Mark Passio brilliantly puts, he doesn't put it in my words, explain it in my way, but his seminar, Natural Law, puts it the best way. Nature has its own laws. They are what they are. You can't argue with them. And that's it. In the political map, it's made up of man-made laws out of the minds of men, the stupid minds of men, and they're all different. Yeah? So they're not laws. They're just what meant. If it was laws, it would be like in nature. Physics is, chemistry is. Political map is, my opinion, is the matrix. Once you believe in that as real and the laws of real and politics is real, that is the matrix for me. So I disagree with David. I think the natural world isn't a matrix. I just think that's creation and what we're born out of. I might be wrong. Yeah, but I only go with stuff I can prove. I don't theorize. I'm not interested in theories. I go with what I can prove. So with what I know, the matrix is the political map, and the real world, what we're born out of and made out of, is the geographical map with all its laws. And that's where we need to return. Anyway, as I've stated in other videos, it's natural anyway to create territories. You see animals do it all the time. So there's an aspect, you could say, of truth in the political map, in that, yeah, species do carve out territories, and you can give them names if you want, because we have these conscious minds. You know, lions, wolves, whatever, they don't give their territory a name, it's just their territory. Yeah, and they live within their territory by their rules, and another pack or pride or whatever live in another territory, and there might be a bit of friction at the borders, but they're not interested in what's going on in each other's territory. Yeah, you stay out of mine, I stay out of yours. That's how it works in nature. Humanity doesn't work like that, because the world is controlled by total, utter, complete psychopaths. So that for me is the matrix, the political world. And people, I mean, let's take Venezuela and Iran now. You got all these, for me, I haven't got the time now, people who are still supporting Trump. You haven't, I mean, I called Trump out before his first inauguration 8-9 years ago as one of them, because I know the game that's going on. Might sound like I'm a smart ass, I don't care, I'm just telling you like it is. Why did I call him out 8-9 years ago? Listen to all these Trumpsters for years, and no matter how many he talks about peace, but is going to war, bombing Gaza to bits, and he wants to take it over. He's making a claim on Greenland. You know, he's put all those billions into a proxy war in Ukraine, and he's already told now he wants the resources, which I claim was what it was all about in the first place, plus other historical things. And now you've got Iran. Well, you just look into anything about Iran and who was controlling the oil there decades ago, which was Britain, fleecing them for their oil. And then you had this, extreme Islamic revolution there. Well, who was behind that? And then you look into the Sabbateans, British CIA, what's all going on there? I've done that in other videos, the world's not as it seems or something like that. You look in Venezuela now, it's blatantly about oil, blatantly. And people are still supporting Trump. My opinion is the Trumpsters, they've dug themselves so deep, they haven't got the humility to step out now because they've pinned their hopes on him. And he's turned out to be another, basically, psychopathic warmonger who thinks he can dictate to the world. If anyone thinks, and this it goes back to another argument, there was no British Empire that involved the British people. And I have so many, I can't speak to it now, disagreements with people who I criticise the corporate City of London British Empire, and they think I'm attacking the British people, and they tell me, why don't I leave the country then if I don't like it so much? It's nothing to do with the people of this country, the British people of the islands, which you could include in that English, Cornish, Welsh, Scottish, the whole of Ireland, not as a political sense, as a people, of a group of islands with similar beliefs and cultures, although there's always a bit of friction. It's the British government. They built an empire built on tyranny and exploitation. You cannot defend that. You cannot say, oh, well, we give them a few roads and we built their infrastructure. No, we built the roads and infrastructure so we could pillage the country of all the resources. That's what the empire was built on. Sometimes you just got to say it as it is. No one, I know people, you've got this right and left. I've been over this before. You've got the woke people saying all people, British, are responsible for the British Empire and we should be guilty about it. And yeah, that's not true. And you've got the far right, kind of, whatever that even means nowadays, claiming we should be proud of the British Empire. None of them are true. It was never a British Empire. It was a corporate empire. Just look at the tea company in India. It was a corporate empire from the City of London, backed by Parliament. Nothing to do with the people. People can't separate that. I'm sick of having discussions with people about this and then tell me I should leave the country. I'm trying to fight for my country, for the people. Utter insanity. You can't even have a conversation with people nowadays. Go to Venezuela, it's only about oil. I was in Venezuela in November, December 1999 through Caracas, went up to Roraima, Angel Falls, Isla de Margarita. I was in Venezuela, hired a car out for a day. You could get oil. I can't remember the exact price, but it was about 5p a litre. It was ridiculous. About 5p a litre. This is going back, 26 years. But it was pennies. I didn't see socialism because everybody had their own little businesses, independent private businesses. People confuse nationalisation of infrastructure and resources with socialism. It's not the same thing. When socialism in Cuba, it takes over. I've been to Cuba, where you go in a restaurant and it's run by the government. Yeah, that's pure socialism. What I seen in Venezuela, I don't know how it's changed since then, but what I seen in Venezuela was people getting around with their own business, but Chavez had took the oil off the big corporations and said, no, I'm going to sell this cheap to the people and I'm going to sell it abroad at profit and build schools, infrastructure and hospitals with it. Yeah, so that's not socialism. And the CIA have been in there for decades, not happy with that. They want to give it back to their satanic corporate masters. It's all it's about. Nothing else is what it's about. And people are saying, oh, yeah, he's got the dictator. What dictator? This goes back to democracy and freedom, which is an utter complete joke. They always push because they're mind controlling you. Sorry, if you believe democracy and freedom is the same thing, you've been mind controlled. And I'm not saying this as a smart ass, I'm just saying it as it is, because I haven't got the patience with this nonsense anymore. They push democracy, freedom, while they're going into countries, they demonize them first, go into them, destroy them, flatten them, all in the name of democracy and freedom. What's that all about? It's not even, and people are defending this. People have got to see through the utter nonsense of the political system. Democracy does not equal freedom. Democracy means you have a vote. What does that even mean? You have an opinion. You're allowed an opinion of who's going to rule over you. It's a nonsense. It's complete and utter nonsense. People say a dictator. Well, what do you mean by a dictator? Someone who's brought justice to a country where there was injustice? Is that, you want to call that a dictator? Well, what are the results? Well, the results in Venezuela is that people got the oil back. Now, their whole system collapsed because the CIA were in there making it collapse. Socialism never works. But then again, I'm not defending socialism. I'm just saying democracy does not equal freedom. It's a joke. And all Western empires have been built on exploitation. Yeah. And when somebody fights back, as Chavez did, we're not having this exploitation. This is what happens. Read the book, The Open Veins of Latin America. The whole history of Latin America is exploitation by Western corporations. Look at the genocide in Potosi, in Bolivia, in the mines. I've been in them mines. Over about 150 years or something like 8 million natives were worked to death. Nobody talks about it. Washed out of history. Because that's not a convenient genocide and Holocaust to mention, really, is it? You know, you don't want to remember that Holocaust, because it was Western corporate people doing that. Yeah, not the British people, not the French people, not the Spanish people, the people who are running them countries. And we're voting for these psychopaths all the time. And again, it comes down to voting, as though that's a fair system. And this comes back to all the woke people attacking the patriarchy, attacking systems of power, attacking the hierarchy. You want any job done well, you need a hierarchy. Simple as that. You have the person, say it's building a building, you want the architect and the engineer at the top of the hierarchy. At the bottom of the hierarchy will be the cleaner. That's just how it is. You don't want the cleaner telling all the builders where to put the steel. Utter complete nonsense. You will have to have a hierarchy to complete any task well. And it's a hierarchy of competence, not power. You look in a dog pack, the alpha male is there as a position to serve the pack. He's not asking the opinions of any pack members. He knows the hierarchy within the pack and what their capabilities are. The runt of the pack will never rise, and he'll make sure it'll never rise, because the runt isn't capable of running the pack. It'll put the pack at risk. And there will be levels within the pack that, and he'll keep that hierarchy. Why? For the protection of the pack, and so that the pack can thrive. It's a hierarchy built on power if needed, but competence and knowledge and wisdom. Yeah, it's a dictatorship, but it works for the best of everyone. You can't have psychopaths, narcissists, and morons having a vote on society, because this is what you end up with. And you go back to my other video, nice people doing bad things, the common purpose effect. The people who run the system have deliberately now put psychopaths and the narcissists and the morons in positions of power as leaders to run the country and the Western countries. In small village communities, so for example, when I was living in Iquitos in the Peruvian Amazon, it's a big town, so it's structured and organized, so they have laws and rules, yeah, and a little bit of crime. You go out into the villages, and the more you go out, there's no laws, there's no rules. People just do what they need to do to survive. They'll do the fishing, tend the crops, build the houses. If somebody gets married and they need to do something, they just come together, have a bit of chat and build a new house. There's no rules, there's no written laws and rules. no crime. If somebody was molesting children, that person would be taken for a little walk and probably wouldn't come back, and you'd see a lot of fat piranhas swimming about the next day. That's how it works. No laws, no crime. Peace. The only threats they get are from outsiders, maybe people wanted to make drugs there or whatever. So and within those communities, the wiser older people have the power. Yeah, any big decisions to be made, it'll be the wiser older people that look to them. It might be the shaman, or you want to call it what, the tribal leader, it doesn't matter, but the community leader. And part of their job is to stop the psychopaths and the narcissists and the morons gaining positions of power within the community, because it's not beneficial. Now, you can call that a dictatorship. It is, but it's a dictatorship of wisdom and understanding and knowledge that keeps the community together. So how do you solve this in Western culture, in, say, England? How do you allow everyone to have freedom? Well, you'll have to have self-responsibility, and people be willing to take the responsibility for their actions. So you have to get rid of government for a start. You nationalize all the infrastructure and resources, and you put public servants whose only job is responsible to the upkeep on that. And then like Gandhi said, you should have an India of village republics. Well, then everybody then, under simply the law of no harm, no loss, should be allowed to create their own communities. And you have your own little laws. It's up to you. Then you can have true diversity without people trying to impose their insanity on other people. You know, if you want to create a community where there's 150 genders, go and create that community. That's perfectly fine. Yeah, perfectly fine. If you want to create a community where there's only 2 genders, perfectly fine. And when in Rome, do as the Romans do: respect each other's community. Don't go in each other's community and try and impose what you believe is right on each other. The idea of voting being an act of freedom is utter, complete nonsense. And the people who run the system know that, because what they do, because they're manipulating society, you promote morons and narcissists and psychopaths who now have the power to dictate to the masses. So it doesn't work. Voting doesn't work. Natural freedom is the only thing that works. Natural freedom, and people to be free to create their own communities with their own rules. And if I don't like it, tough, nothing to do with me, absolutely nothing to do with me. Then you'll have true freedom and diversity. And I'd be interested to see what all these weak, narcissistic morons do with their own society. I don't think they'll succeed. I think people who have societies built on discipline, built on the wisdom of the elders, built on moral boundaries, I think theirs will succeed. Now, I'm not religious, but you look at the Amish. Right? No one can deny that they succeed as a community. No one can deny that. If you go back to Kung Fu Panda and the Snow Leopard, you know, the whole of that theme was about not allowing psychopaths into positions of power, because they're destructive. So are narcissists, and so are morons. The hierarchy exists for a reason. Yeah? It can't be used to dominate via power, which we've got now. But it shouldn't be used that. The power should be there, but it should be used for competence, a hierarchy of competence. Because people just leave a load of morons on their own and narcissists and see how they get on as a society. You know, tell them, all right, you create your own society. It will not succeed. It will not succeed at all. It's, you know, I don't normally do social commentary, but there's an area of this so-called freedom movement who are still locked in the political matrix of the world. Forget the David Icke, whatever matrix, that everything's a matrix. I don't believe that. If you can show me evidence of that, okay. But I believe nature is real. Natural laws are real. Consciousness comes out of nature, although there is, should we say, an unconscious mind, as me and Patrick have spoken about, behind all that. And what our consciousness has been manipulated to create a layer on top of the natural world, which is the political map. Until people can see through that, no chance of getting free, because always they'll be looking for political solutions. So you'll be arguing about democracy, or you're arguing about this guy's a dictator, all opinions of nonsense, which is what keep people in the nonsense. Look at the both facts. There's no debate. The war in Venezuela is about the oil. It's ridiculous to even defend Trump on that. It's utter nonsense, and yet people are still doing it. My opinion is that they're either locked in the matrix or they've dug themselves too deep. They haven't got the humility to step out. So that's my little rant over. If you think democracy equals freedom, I've got nothing to converse with anyone. If you think you can vote your way out of a dictatorship, if you think even a system of voting creates a stable, productive, peaceful societies, I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I think wise elders should go back to the system which are only work in small communities. That's why they want us all in big cities, because the bigger the city, the more rules you need to make the city move. Small communities, that's where we're at as a species, living in small communities run by wise people. A dictatorship of wise elders who understand life. And if people want to stand up against that, well, move away and make your own community. Do what you want. Along the Amazon for years, if once a village has got maybe a little bit too big and friction starts coming in, rather than families going to war, they'll just separate and make a new community. And that's perfectly fine, because we don't all have to be friends, but we don't have to be enemies either. People should go their own way. But to do that, you need the freedom to do that. And the Western Agenda 21, 2030, whatever now, prohibits that. You're not allowed to do that. They want us all in the political mind space that is ruled by them. No future in that. Absolutely no future. But before people can even do anything about it, you've got to see through the nonsense. If you haven't seen through the nonsense of this political matrix, if you haven't seen through the nonsense of freedom and democracy, if you still think we're the good guys and the Islamic world or anyone who stands up again, or the socialist world is the bad guys, then you have no idea what's going on. And I haven't even got the patience or the tact to say it any other way. If you haven't seen through that, if you think it's socialism the problem or Islam is the problem, you have no idea what's going on. Utterly no idea.